Monday, or whatever day of the week you're listening to this podcast. I'm excited that you are joining us for the Mastering Social Media for Schools podcast and maybe the video show, which you can check out on YouTube. Very excited to be sharing with you today Marissa Weidenfeller. And Marissa does an amazing job for Fort Atkinson schools in Wisconsin. We're going to kind of talk about her unique entry into school PR, which was actually, she was on a committee to look for the position, and then she realized she kind of wanted the position, which is awesome. She's going to talk about some really strong branding that they have done with their OneFort initiative. And you guys, the show notes are chock full of links and examples. You guys are really going to want to lean in. She's got some great ideas to really promote that branding and that school spirit throughout your entire community. We're going to talk a little bit about video. We're going to talk about tips to make social media engaging for your district, and even some helpful tools to make video a little bit easier. So you're going to love this. I just want to give a special plug and special invitation to my membership community. It's June. You guys want social media to be better next year. Join my membership group. It's a 365-day per year support group where we do training and support hands-on skills sessions. And if you register now, you'll join now, but you won't pay until after July 1st, which is the beginning of the fiscal year for most of you. You can check that out at socialschoolforedu.com and learn more about that membership program. But Jen Wempner-Bode, she's out of Arizona Lutheran Academy in Arizona, and she just shared this testimonial. My biggest reason for sharing Social Schools membership group with fellow social media managers is the motivation the group provides. Need ideas? Go to the group. Got issues? Go to the group. Need moral support? Yep. Go to the group. The group has helped me celebrate the positive, navigate the negative, and wade through the questions of social media. Thanks so much for that great review over there on our Facebook page, Jen. And yeah, we've basically developed this community of storytellers for schools that is there for you when you need it most, and we want you to join us. So check it out, socialschoolforedu.com. Join now. Don't pay until July. So now let's get started with this week's episode with Marissa. All right, today's K-12 PR tip is all about swag. So having customized branded items to promote your school is great, and low-cost options are out there. Marissa's going to talk about a lot of them today, but I have a great article, and I'll definitely link that in the show notes with some different ideas. She's going to talk about yard signs and bumper stickers and window clings. But have you ever thought about pop sockets, right? Something for the back of your phone. Window scrapers, like, ice scrapers, they are needed here in Wisconsin and Minnesota. You could have umbrellas, you can have mugs or water cups, right? Or, a different, like a bag, like those cinch bags are really great. You can have keychains, you can have the banners, of course, t-shirts. Post-it notes, right? Definitely those window clings. Some schools even have like socks made, which are super cool. And obviously some magnets, right? Magnets maybe with some important dates for your school year this next year, right? So think of a gift, but actually it's functional as well. Some people use those little bracelets, and then there's, items for your computer that you can use to cling, and even some stress relievers, right? I had some cool hashtag stress relievers, which were fun. And then this article is going to date itself because there was even customized those spinners, which are pretty much out of style now, which I'm really glad because I have the kids and those things were everywhere. But just some ideas for swag. Definitely promote going through one of your local businesses to order that swag. Get your branding out there. It helps. And we're going to be talking all about that brand right in today's episode with Marissa. So let's get started. Welcome to the podcast, Marissa.
Thank you for having me, Andrea. I'm very excited to be here.
You guys got two Wisconsin girls coming at you for this week's podcast episode, which is exciting. Marissa, why don't you introduce yourselves? Introduce yourself. Share a little bit of your background with the listeners.
Sure. My name is Marissa Weidenfeller, and I am the Communications and Community Engagement Specialist for the School District of Fort Atkinson. And so we're located about halfway between Madison and Milwaukee in Wisconsin. So kind of this happy medium. We have about 12,000 people in our community. I was born and raised here in Fort Atkinson, and I was very excited to come back and be involved in my community that I love so much, and now in this role helping the schools.
Yeah. And
So I do have. Oh, go ahead.
well, how big is your district? About how many students?
We have about 3,000 students.
Okay.
So we have four elementary schools, one middle school, and one high school.
Okay, great. And how did you get into school PR? Did you go to school for that, or how did that happen?
Sure. So I actually have a marketing background. So previously, I was a marketing director for a credit union in our community. And so during my time at the credit union, I also coached cheerleading at the high school. I was a cheerleader throughout high school and college. So it was fun to give back and be involved in the schools that way. Uh, with my previous role, I was also in the classrooms at the elementary, middle, and high school level, giving presentations on financial literacy, marketing topics, life skills in general. So I always looked forward to those presentations. And, you know, as you guys know, the students and the teachers, the work that they do day in and day out is so amazing. So that's what kind of triggered me to start thinking, oh, I wish someday I could, have some sort of marketing role with schools, but that will never happen. And then I got invited to a planning committee to develop this position. So
Oh, interesting.
as I was sitting there and, a bunch of our communications and marketing professionals in our community, we started brainstorming about what this role could be. Um, a light bulb kind of went off like, oh, I kind of think I would like this role, but I was happy where I was at. And so I actually didn't apply the first round. And they didn't find anyone that they really felt would be a good fit here, so they did a second round. And then I started getting the emails and the text messages from some of the teachers I had presented in their classes and some community members like, if you ever thought about leaving, I think this would be a good role for you. So I was like, you know what? I think I will. So I applied for it, and every round of interviews that I went through, which were super rigorous, it made me want it more. And yeah, just given my past experience with, growing up here and having the teachers, there's still a lot of my teachers here. I wanted it. I wanted this role so bad. And, thankfully they decided on me. So that's how I got here.
That's awesome. And you have been in that role for how long?
Coming up on 2 years.
Okay. So 2 years, pretty brand new. And I know that you are part
Mhm.
of our little membership group. So we
Yes.
support school communicators from across the country with in regards to social media. What other ways have you kind of got the training that you need in your role because you didn't have a background in this? So, you jumped in and enthusiasm is awesome. And obviously you got the passion, but then with the skills, and there's been a lot, Marissa, on your plate since like March of 2020, right? So,
Just a little bit.
yeah. So what have you done to kind of train yourself in this for this position?
So I definitely think my previous role helped me out. That was another brand new position to the credit union. So I had built that role from the ground up. So I think that definitely came in handy here.
Sure.
Um, but your group has helped me a ton. Your podcast and your sessions where we can come in and you can teach us some things. I'm also involved with WISPRA, which is our Wisconsin PR association. Other than that, it's just a lot of learning on my own. I have a really great supportive admin team here. Our superintendent is wonderful. So it's just a lot of, I'd say peer to peer coaching as well.
Sure. Yeah, and you had some of those relationships because you went to school there, and then now reaching
Yeah.
out. I think what I've found, Marissa, is I came into this in 2014. I didn't even know school PR was a thing. That schools had because my school was so small, and this community is so willing to help you. You just
Mhm.
have to be willing to ask, and it seems like you are, a go getter and willing to put yourself out there, which has been fun. And of course, we love supporting with our training and skills sessions and all of that. So that's been great. So let's talk about social media when it comes to your role. We
Yeah.
know your role is bigger than just social media, but it's an important piece. So what social media channels are you responsible for the school district?
Yeah, so for the school district, I'm in charge of the school district Facebook page, our LinkedIn, our Twitter, and our YouTube. And I do have contributors on all of those, which is super helpful. But those are the primary social media channels I have the handle on. But I do oversee the Facebook accounts for all of our schools. So all of our elementaries, our middle, and our high school. And actually, just last week, I helped launch an Instagram account for the high school.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, Instagram's such a great spot, especially to connect with students. So, who
Mhm.
at the individual schools, like who's primarily responsible for those pages at the school level?
So that varies from school to school. Last summer I was hoping to dive into that more. Um, but there was this little pandemic or something like that. So it's on my to-do list for this summer. But I want to make that a little more consistent where I have a theme for the month and I have a certain post like per week that I'd like done at each of the schools. And so just communicating with that team a little bit more and making sure that there's at least some sort of consistency with a theme between all of the school pages because, from a marketing perspective, like I'm all about the brand and I'm all about the experience. And I want our families to have a consistent experience, elementary, middle, and high school. So that's a really big goal that I'm working towards, but I'm really excited for that. So
Yeah, that's a great idea. And so, at some of the schools, is it like a school secretary or the principal or the media specialist? Is it all those things, depending on the school?
all those things. Yeah, there's a couple support staff members that have really stepped up just because naturally they really are engaged on social media, so they stepped up and were willing to help. But yeah, the principal has access, but we know our principal's plates are pretty full, so um, there's a few main office secretaries that are willing to help. The IMC directors, they're super helpful and very techy, so their posts are usually pretty beautiful. Um, Not that the others aren't, but yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a good group of people, and they definitely know their school and their culture, which is very great. And they know the brand at their school, so I just need to bridge that gap between the brand at the school and the brand at the district level, and making sure there's some cohesiveness.
I love it. I just want to throw this in as a little shameless plug for me. I'm already doing 2 sessions, and not for you necessarily, Marissa, but for those of you that are out there with a lot of schools. Some of you have 40 schools, and you're trying to train all these folks doing social media. I actually do some customized training for staff to tell their story and to help give them some tips and tricks so that they're hearing it from somebody other than maybe you as the communications director or communications specialist. So I just want to throw that out there. I just got done with some training of how to train your staff to be social media storytellers. Marissa, it was an awesome presentation with a group from Ohio, but I'll definitely share that inside of our membership group because I think that would be helpful, just to pull the tools from that in order to, help establish some kind of guidelines and helping them be storytellers as well. But I love
Yeah, that would be super
yeah,
helpful.
and I love your ideas. So, what kind of social media wins have you had since you started in your position?
So, my first year that I was here, National Love Public Education Week was approaching. And as an admin team, we really wanted to do something big. We wanted to do a splash. Like they finally have somebody in a capacity that can do a little bit more with branding. And we actually had an operational referendum that year as well. And so voting for
Just
that was
just an
coming up.
just an operational referendum.
just an operational referendum.
Yeah, no big
um,
deal.
yeah. And so we're like, okay, so what could we roll out for National Love Public Education Week that we could tie into the operational referendum and then keep that theme moving forward? And so we came up with this OneFort initiative. So our town's name is Fort Atkinson. But if you're from around here, somebody says, oh, where are you from? You say, oh, I'm from Fort. And so we started thinking about our community and how tight knit we are. We're like, you know what? We're OneFort. Like businesses, community members, we're all OneFort. And so we had yard signs, we had promo items like bumper stickers, window clings, tattoos for the kids. We had a spirit week, and I had people submit pictures online just via Google form, and it was awesome. The whole community was rallying. It was amazing. And then the next week, the pandemic hit.
So it was right before. Okay, so do you have some?
Yeah, it was a week or two before it. It was
Yeah, crazy.
it was uncanny timing.
So, do you have some links to some of those social media posts that we could share in the show notes that
Oh
showcase?
yeah, I
Yeah.
mhm.
O-
Yes, I can absolutely get those for
Okay,
you.
so we
Um,
will have those waiting for you. So you just can get an idea of some of the swag things that they put together. And what I love about that, Marissa, is when you're talking about a big campaign win, it's obviously bigger than social media. You celebrate
yep.
it on social media. You can bring it to more people. You can really make it this whole experience. I mean, even if you were in COVID, sometimes you can still pull people together, right? But
Mhm.
there's obviously much bigger planning and things that go in to it. But you're really giving that sense of that we are one, which
Yep.
I think is so powerful, especially the bigger districts you go, and maybe you got some branch communities, especially in Wisconsin. You know, we got a lot of little communities that come together to a school. I just love that. And what was the feedback from staff members and community members from that initiative?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, using social media to help get that message out to the community so it wasn't just our school families participating was crucial. Um, it, the feedback moving forward, honestly, Andrea, we are still rolling with that OneFort theme
Yeah.
right now. Everything that we do is the OneFort. We're one team, one district, and one community. And that's our brand. And our community knows it. Honestly, it got us through the pandemic. Um, that was our mantra. That was, when we had our nutrition team and some of our staff members coming in, day out, putting all these meals together, packaging them, sending them on the bus, delivering them to students. I'm actually doing a post for School Lunch Hero Day this Friday, um, which is May 7th. And between March 2020 and August 31st, 2020, our nutrition team served over 203,000 meals.
Holy cow.
So for a project like that big, you have to have something powerful and something that people can get behind and be excited about. And that was our thing, was one team. We're one team, we're OneFort, we're moving forward. And the community feedback was phenomenal. I had people messaging me on Facebook, emailing my community engagement email, where can I pick up a sign? Where can I pick up a bumper sticker? And I had some staff members that were so wonderful that were getting asked, and they're like, can you give them to me and I'll help like distribute them to local businesses? And it was amazing. Like I don't know if it would have stuck as good as it had we not had the pandemic. Not that I wish it happened,
Right.
but it was really convenient timing, and
Well, I think it was
it really solidified us as a
I
community.
think it was brilliance on your part, Marissa. Just like when I had training from Tracy Jens on crisis communication back in February of 2020, right
Mhm.
before the pandemic, and like COVID was like this much of her presentation, like, oh, I've got something created for it. Little did we know a month later it would be
Yeah.
everything. Okay, so I got to ask the question because many people are
Mhm.
listening. They're gonna be like,
Sure.
okay, Yard signs, window clings, it sounds like a lot of money. So did you guys, are you willing to share what the budget was or how you got approval for that to spend those funds? Obviously, I think it was worth it, especially when you look at how it brought you together in the pandemic. But can you talk to
Mhm.
that piece at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I try to stay local as much as I can. We're very local here in Fort Atkinson. So one of our local businesses creates yard signs in bulk, and so they were able to help get us a pretty good deal on them. Um, I had a vendor that I used to work with in my previous role. She's local, and she was able to find some really good end quantity pricing for us. Um, from a ballpark standpoint, I'd say, oh, I want to say the yard signs. We ordered a lot. I think we ordered like 2,000. And I maybe it wasn't, maybe it was 1,000. And I think they came in at about $12 a piece. So it does add up pretty quickly. But it was worth it. The bumper stickers and window clings, those are, I want to say those are about like $2, $3 a piece.
Okay.
Again, depending on your quantity. But how we did that, you know, I was very thankful because for this position, they had a marketing budget set aside.
Sure.
And so I used the funds for that. I had done some social media paid promotions, so I had quite a bit saved up just to see what we were going to need to do for the rest of the year. And the rest of the year got canceled, so we were in a pretty good financial spot for that. And for people in the community that maybe questioned why would you spend money on something like that, it's all about the brand and building that. And sometimes you have to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
We want our school to have a really great experience tied to that brand, and that's what's going to attract other students from
Yes.
other communities.
Ab-
So
Absolutely.
if you can explain that, sometimes they'll understand, but other times they won't. But it is a business mindset, and I come from the business world, so that's where my mind is at, and I can certainly back what I purchase.
Yeah, and I think what's so important, okay, you could get a billboard for thousands and thousands of dollars. You can get a TV
Yes.
commercial, which not as many people are really watching TV anyways, for thousands and
Mhm.
thousands of dollars. This you created an experience that people got to be
Mhm.
part of, that you turned your community into those cheerleaders and those advocates that are proud to be with your school. I mean, there is so much gold in that and in what you started, and then obviously what has carried through. So I just think that is really brilliant. And yeah, there is an investment. I'll just put it out there. Some schools end up going to ask for donations from businesses or some of those things. Now our businesses
Mhm.
support us in a lot of different ways, so we can't do that all the
Sure.
time, but that would be another idea. But definitely there needs to be some budget dollars to help with those. And when you're putting bumper stickers and window clings and things that people can take pictures with, that becomes social media collateral then, and you can have contests. And I'm not sure if you've done all those things, but
Yeah.
that's fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, this year for National Love Public Education, we kept that going with our bumper stickers and window clings. So we did a social media campaign where I gave all of our administrators like $10 in coffee coupons to our local coffee shops. And if they saw someone out in the community that had a OneFort sticker, they could give them the gift certificate and get a picture with them. And it went over really well. And then we did the same thing with our staff parking lots, where I would pick myself or the administrator would pick a random like undercover agent to go out in the parking lots and select a staff member or a student that was displaying the OneFort. So,
Oh,
so
fun.
that was really fun.
What a great idea. And again, I love all your ties to your local community, Marissa. Sometimes it's easy to give that Amazon gift card or whatever. It's like, no, you want to support other businesses.
Mhm.
So that's great. Now, you've really also, just shifting gears a little bit, you've started using video to celebrate
Yeah.
your school. So can you just kind of tell me about how you've been incorporating video into your, kind of social strategy?
Sure. So video is definitely the way to go. Much more engaging. So with that, thinking back on my experience with Fort schools, again, I wanted this role because of the teachers that I had and the experience I had going through Fort schools. And so how do you do that? You can show it through pictures, but video is super impactful. So given all of the hard work our teachers have done, especially this year with virtual learning, our teachers are doing mirrored learning or concurrent learning, which is super taxing on them, but they're doing a phenomenal job. So we have PLC time, so professional learning community time, every Monday for our teachers. And so we have, I think, 26 different PLCs throughout the district. And so we launched a OneFort finesse series. So when you think of the word finesse, it's really curtailing and redefining your craft and making sure it is the best that it can be. And that's exactly what our teachers have done this year, and they will continue to do in the future. So each PLC we are highlighting on our YouTube channel. I have, I think, 5 scripted questions that I'd like their groups to address. And we do that through video. So we get some B-roll, so some video in the classrooms of the teaching that they're mentioning in their answers. We do have some groups that just record themselves talking through the questions via Zoom, and then we can add in some of those videos. So I'll make sure to send you the link to that playlist. Our first grade PLC, they did a phenomenal job of really showing what concurrent learning, mirrored learning is, and how it has been beneficial to our students, because we do have some in person and some that are virtual. So I'll be sure to share that with you, but it's gotten a lot of positive comments and positive feedback. And, whenever we're up for a referendum again, which is going to come way sooner than later, it's another thing to point back to and show why we need this funding, is because if we don't have the funding, our team won't be able to have some of these experiences and be able to have some of this professional learning, which ultimately affects our children,
Right.
our students, why we're here or why.
Yeah.
So video has been great. And again, we just launched the high school Instagram. So I'm hoping to get some student creators for that, and doing some Instagram TV and some Instagram videos as well.
Sure.
But yeah, our employee recognition video we did instead of a ceremony, and we reached a whole lot more people than if we would have just done it in person and shared the link after.
Right.
So
That's
it's been an adventure.
Yeah, that's powerful. And it's great to get people involved. So you're getting some videos from staff members, but then you're putting it all together. Are you the one that's mixing everything or do you get help?
So I attempt to.
Okay.
I think you'll be able to tell which ones I did. Getting better, but it's definitely not my forte yet. But we actually have a really great team member up at the high school who is his name is John Collins, and he is our auditorium director, and he has just phenomenal video skills, and he is the primary one editing all of our videos. So all the beautiful ones you see on our YouTube, more than likely that was Jen. But he is wonderful, and asking for help again. I was planning on doing it all by myself, and I just in a casual conversation was talking about it with him. He's like, "Oh, well, I do video editing. I would love to help you." And there we went. So
Yeah, and that is so important. You've got all these skills. You talked about students helping with the Instagram stuff now that
mhm,
they're doing a high school page, your auditorium director. I mean, there's people that have different skills that can help in a one school PR shop, especially just getting
mhm,
started. And I know that you're very ambitious, so you want to get all of these things out. You can't do it alone. It's all about developing those great relationships and leveraging them. And you guys, people love to help, right? They
mhm.
love to use their
Yeah.
skills to do that. So that's really, really powerful. So leading in, because our time has flown by, Marissa, leading into some of our final wrap-up questions, what's your best like social media tip for all those listeners? And you might have a couple, but
Yeah, I do have a couple, but I'll try to limit it. So my biggest thing is build those relationships with obviously your staff, but also key community members. Because again, back to that brand, I'm all about that brand. they're your storytellers. They're the ones that are supporting you on social media. So if you have something big happening, make sure you let those people know first. Maybe you send off an email before it goes out on social, just so they're aware and that they have all the details of what's happening. So, especially over the last year, we've had a lot of really important, really deep messages we've had to share on social, which sometimes the comments aren't that great. Um, However, when you loop in people beforehand, those key players, they're able to, I wouldn't say combat, but put the facts out there of what the communication actually was. Um, and my other my other tip, I guess, would be, just make sure everything's native content. You don't want to try too hard. Stock images aren't my favorite. Try to use actual faces of your people. That's going to get you the most engagement on social media. When people say, "Oh, that's my neighbor," or, you know, "That's so and so who's daughter of so and so," having those connections and those faces is super impactful. And one tool that really helped me that was low cost, it's a gimbal, which is like a stabilizer for my phone. Because I don't know about you, but I can't handle caffeine very well. So when I have a coffee and I'm sitting there trying to record, and I'm like, this isn't going to work. So this gimbal just stabilizes it for me, so I can be shaking all I want, but the camera stays stable.
Okay. Can
So that really helps with
can
video.
you send me that link too of where you got
Sure.
like just a link? I'm sure it's available on Amazon or wherever. But
Yeah.
I never could get mine to work that great, although I do have a handheld just a little thing that my phone doesn't even have to attach to. I can just hook it up to my
Oh.
computer when I'm done. And I really love that. I can't remember the name of it right now, but and another thing is a tripod, right? But tripod's a little
Yep.
bit bigger
Yep.
to bring around. So
Mhm.
I love those tips. We got so much value out of this talk, and I'm really excited. So, you
Okay.
guys, we every episode we have show notes, and so we're going to link back to her OneFort campaign, her OneFort finesse series examples. We're going to get you a link to that gimbal. Love the idea of giving gift cards out with bumper stickers. I mean, so many great tips and tricks. This was so valuable. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope I helped someone.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you definitely did. Well, you helped me because that gave me some ideas. And Marissa, if you don't know,
sure.
I have a really big mouth, and I tell everybody some great ideas because hey, we can all help each other.
Mhm.
So, really appreciate
Absolutely.
everybody listening today. Don't tune in all summer long. We're going to be here every week. We're going to be sharing great things that you can implement. Make sure that you're taking a break as well for yourself because I bet last summer you didn't really get a break. This summer, hopefully you will, and hopefully things will stay relatively calm for you, Marissa. But keep building that brand. I'm so excited for you. Hey,
Thank
yeah,
you.
hey everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.